Hello and welcome to Hobby Vlog number 204. That's been a really fun week, really productive, got a load of stuff done, started some new projects, getting close to finishing some others, and yeah, it's going to be a nice long vlog, so I've not gone too long right now. There are two things I wanted to bring up. First of all, my really fun friendly challenge, which I started, the Let's Get Stuff Done, Let's Finish the Year Strong challenge, has had a really good uptake, so thank you to everyone who has said they're going to be involved. And it's never going to be too late to join in on that. It runs until the end of the year, 31st of December. I think I've got 14 or 15 people who have said across various channels, including some Discords I'm in the comments on some of my videos, that they're going to take part, which is absolutely awesome. And I've already been receiving emails and pictures, which I'm collecting, and I'll do update videos over the coming months. So thank you to everyone who's got involved in that. Absolutely brilliant. What a great thing. Wonderful. The other thing is, it's not going to appear as a video. I thought it might, but it won't. But last Sunday, myself and Rosie went for a lovely walk. We picked up a load of pine cones, which will appear on the channel at some point soon, because we're going to make some Christmas decorations with those. And we also filled a bucket full of the really nice sand that I use a lot to do my grout mix, which is currently still sat in a bucket outside room 13 just behind me here, and I was expecting to get that used this week, but I didn't. However, as I've been talking, you will have seen some pictures of Rosie doing helping me out with that. So yeah, it was really cool, really cool walk. Anyway, a little bit of a longer introduction because of those two things, but thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment if you can. I do love them. I do reply to every single one of them, but if you don't want to, that's fine. I just appreciate you watching the video, and I'll see you again at the end. Right, so we're back at the table, which is cool, and Rosie's very excited, aren't you?
Yeah.
So what we're doing now is we're doing the fellowship phase. So the way that the One Ring works is you do all your adventuring. Sit still, love, you're rattling your chair. You do all your adventuring, and then once you've finished an adventure, you come back and you do a fellowship phase. Now, we're not doing the full thing because we're simplifying it a little bit. But what this is going to involve is experience points and leveling up, and then getting some gear, and then we'll prepare ourselves for kicking off on a new adventure next week. So you're looking forward to it, Roo?
Yes.
So it's going to be a short session, which is not bad because we're busy and tired, and it's been a bit of a stressful weekend. Yeah, Rosie's tired. So yeah, we're going to get this done, and we'll report back with what we've achieved at the end of it. So do you want to say bye-bye to the camera?
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So Rosie is showing you the camera, her card. So what we did was we split 9 points between our skills. And which skills did you increase? You increased your athletics, your stealth, and your healing, didn't you, Roo? And then you also spent some of your points to increase your your combat. You increased your bow. Very good. And what equipment did you get? Did you get a bow?
Yes.
And a club? And a dagger. So we're all set to start the adventure next time. So, Lobelia, what did you end up doing? You put loads of point dots down. You were like dotting noughts to ones all over the place.
I did. Athletics to 1. Awareness, bumped it up 1. Hunting, brought it up to 1. And
I think you did explore.
Explore twice.
Yeah.
And scan.
Careful you don't smear it, love.
And I got an extra proficiency with the sword, and 1 with spear. And I got the sword.
And we all got a dagger and a club.
And a club.
So for myself, I bumped my awareness up to 3. I took 1 in battle, and I bumped my riddle up to 4. And I got an axe because I increased my... Sit down, my love. I increased my proficiency in axes to 2, and I got an axe as well as a dagger and a club. And next time, Rosie, next adventure, Bilbo is coming with us. So there's going to be 4 of us.
Oh, wow.
How cool is that? So there we are. So we'll be back. Sit down, love. Please sit down. We're not ready yet. You've got to say bye-bye to the camera. Next week, we'll be back with an adventure. And Rosie is very tired today.
I'm just licking my mouth.
Okay. Rosie is very tired today, so it's a very short session. But you excited for next week? Yeah? You're going to say bye-bye to the camera?
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I am having quite a lot of fun painting up Boris the Bunny Summoner. Really fun, actually. So yeah, so I've gone for uniform green for his cloak, and a mix of flat brown and saddle brown for his kind of like cod piece, whatever you want to call it, and golden brown actually on his staff, which will be washed obviously, and that will come down, and then dark German camouflage brown for his beard. And I can't remember, I think it might be middle grey on the bunnies. But I'm going to stop now because I just need to let it dry, so I'm going to stop for a little bit. I might do a little bit more this evening, but I'm not sure, so I thought I'd quickly film now just to show this stage and talk through what colours I've decided to use, and just to say how much fun I'm having. This is a fun old model to paint, really, really cool, and yeah, really enjoying it. It may not feel like it very much, but Christmas is on its way, and so I need to start thinking about my next addition for our Christmas railway. And I've ordered a fair few bits. But the first thing that I'm going to do, and I'm actually going to do this for the layout, is this Geshenka set HO1140, which is a Christmas gift set. So it has a little Christmas tree with a little star and what have you. And then it has baubles to go on the tree. Let me just shake these out. There we are. So it has a bunch of baubles that can go on the tree. That's what these are, if you can see that. And then it has a whole load of presents. So that actually had fallen off. So the way that it works, and the instructions are actually quite clear. I've had a quick look at them just now. They're all in German, but the pictures are good. So you take the little box and you drop the little kind of like wrapping paper thing on, you do it with glue, and that's how you assemble it. So pretty simple. And then, as you can see here, really, really clear instructions of how we assemble the star, and then how we do the baubles. So I'm going to make a couple off camera and then try to work out whether I can get some footage of how I'm assembling them for the camera. But yeah, I'm just going to start to put these together, and I think that's going to be a really nice thing to add on to the layout for this year. I may do the other stuff that I've bought as well, but I'm not sure. But certainly I'm going to do this. Well, this is going to be a little fiddly to record, but they're actually really quite nice. I wanted to show you. So I've done a couple, and I'm going to do this one on camera. So I'm going to take the blue sprue, and I'm going to snip off one of the larger presents here. That very easily snips off. And what you can see is you've got two sides to it. So you've got a side that has an indent in it and a side that doesn't. So we'll take the side that has the indent, put that on the top, and then what we'll do is on the silver one, we'll take one of these, which is the longer present wrapping paper. That's what it's designed to look like. So we'll snip one of those off. And then, oh, my super glue's gone a bit nuts. We'll just put a little bit of super glue on. Apologies for the difficulty in filming this. It's very fiddly. Just put a dot of super glue on there. And then taking the silver thing that we did before, and this is going to be a struggle to get on camera and actually let you see. What you do basically is you force it down over the top. So let's see if I can get that done. There we are. Oh, it's not on at that end. There we are, so that's on. And then what I'm doing is I'm using the flat of my blade. There we are, to push it down in. And that worked less well than any of the others. I think I might have picked the wrong wrapping for that. Yes, I did. Ack. Oh well, I can bend it in and it'll be fine. So that just goes to show, do something on camera and you make a mistake. I didn't realise that there were two different sizes of present and therefore two different sizes of wrapper. So I believe that the wrapping I used should have been put onto, let's get the blue, should have been put onto that one there, not that one. But it's super glued on now, it's not going to come off. So that will just have to be how it is. But yeah, it's pretty easy. I have, before this one, done a test fitting of the wrapping paper, and I should have done that as well. So that's what you need to do. Just do a test fitting, you get it right. But as you can see, they look really pretty, and I'm really happy. So I'm going to get the rest of these built, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Well, there we are. That was actually a lot easier to put together than I expected. When I looked at that packet first and opened the box, I was really, really worried that it wasn't going to work very well and they were going to be a real pain. But they went together really well, so I can really recommend this kit. And I've just also done the tree, as you can see. Now, it's not very stable, it's definitely going to have to be glued down. It doesn't stand on its own. And I've not yet done the baubles, but yeah, that's good. That's worked out really well as well. I did manage to accidentally pull one of the branches off, but I just used a bit of super glue to stick it back on. But yeah, that's been much quicker than I expected. So I'm going to actually put it back in the box, and I'll do the baubles just before I start to put it onto the layout, just the day before I put it on the layout, so I don't want to lose them. So I'm going to keep the baubles and the presents and the tree in this bag, put that back in the box, and then in the next couple of weeks I'll be put it onto the layout. There's no point in bringing the layout down now just to do that. I honestly expected that to take longer. That's been super quick. Highly recommend Geshenka set HO1140 from Bush. If you want to have a Christmas scene anywhere in small scale like this, that's an awesome little bit of kit. Well, I was just chattering away on the Moonstone Discord, and I believe there is an invite to that in the footer of all of my videos, so yeah, go and join. It's a brilliant place, really friendly. And a nice guy called VREX was chattering away about two things that Tabletop Scenics make. One of them, Fancy Hats Townhouse, and the other one was, just one second, Agatha's Stone Moon Tavern. And yeah, I said, oh, they don't sell those, I've never been able to find them. And then I went to my stash, my mountain opportunity, and I found that I actually already own Fancy Hats Townhouse. And I think it must have been the Stone Moon Tavern that wasn't in stock last time I checked, and Fancy Hats was, and so I picked it up, and that went into the backlog. Following this conversation, another guy, Avlahop, has also asked. They were saying they really want to see what it looks like, but not just with the official photography, official pictures, and I really want to make it. I bought this a little while ago now, and it just sat there. So this has jumped completely, vaulted over everything else that was going to be happening next, and I'm now going to do Fancy Hats Townhouse. So I will find the instructions. One of the good things with TT Combat is that they don't waste paper, so you will find the instructions at the website. So I will just do that. I'm not going to print it out, just going to look at them online. I'll get it out of its single-use plastic and get that binned, find the instructions, and then we'll have a look at putting it together. And the main part of this video is not going to be the assembly. I'm not going to film very much of the assembly because it's a MDF kit. I've done a lot of those videos, and yeah, they're basically test fit everything, read things 3 times, and you'll be all right. What I'm going to do is focus more on how I make it look awesome once it's been assembled. So like the pimping and the additional stuff that you can do to turn a MDF kit into something awesome. And I am going to get Agatha's Stone Moon Tavern ordered, and I'll make that when that arrives as well. So anyway, let's get to this. Bit of a rambly intro, but let's get to this. And yeah, we'll have a look at the sprues together, and then I'll probably assemble most of it off camera, and then we will get to making it pretty. Well, there we are, and that's pretty cool, because I'd completely forgotten that these come with the shingles, which is awesome. Because I do buy shingles, I have shingles I buy them from Sarissa, but having them there and cut to the right size is great. I've got the instructions downloaded. They're not hugely clear, so I'm going to be very, very cautious with this. I'm going to look to dry fit everything, but I think what I need is this base here. This is one of the walls, and these 2 walls, and then I'll need to have that one on the front. But as I said, I'm going to dry fit, cut them out, have a look at it, and then when I'm very happy I've got it right, then I will use PVA glue to glue them in place. But like I say, I'm not going to do much on the assembly on this video. I'm mainly filming because, yeah, that's a real bonus. I'd forgotten that TT Combat did that. That is brilliant. You don't get that in many kits, that you actually get the correct shingles pack for the kit. You have to kind of buy it separately and cut it yourself. So that's really awesome. So the first thing I'm doing here to work on the making it awesome is actually, before I assemble it, for the inside I'm sealing the PVA just with water, so MDF, too many TLAs. I'm sealing the MDF with watered down PVA, because what I will be doing is painting this interior, and I might even paint it before I assemble, which is not normally my method. However, if you look at that beautiful kind of like artwork and those tiles, I think particularly that floor I should look at painting before, so I can get it done really, really nicely. I've dry fitted all these pieces and I'm happy that I've got the correct pieces, and I'm not too worried about sealing the outside, because that's going to be dealt with in a different way, which you'll find out, which you'll see. But I think this inside I am going to paint, and I'm going to paint. So yeah, just a little bit of watered down PVA. It's a good sealant for MDF, and it will mean that your paint, when it goes on, doesn't immediately soak into the MDF, and then you have to do many, many coats. So that's what you're trying to do. Anyway, there we are. So this is probably going to slow down my progress a bit, because I'm going to need to have this dry, but it will be dry in about 15 minutes or so. It doesn't take long to dry, and then I can think about what colour I want to paint that inside. So there we are. Just thought I'd show that. So I'll let that dry, and I'll bring you along if I do start on the painting first, or whether I do the assembly. I'll bring you along on the next step when I get to it. Right, so I've decided that I am going to paint this, and the first thing I'm going to do, I've got this just white house paint. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the white, what this is, a black and white squares. And the other good thing about using this, or the good thing about using house paint, not just because it's cheap, which is obviously a very good thing, is it does actually dry really quickly, particularly when you put it on an MDF. So very much by the time I get to the end of doing this, I'll be able to go back over and do my second coat without any trouble. And then once I've done the white, what I'll do is I'll very carefully mask off the white areas, which is why I'm not actually too worried about going over a little bit at this stage. And I will then do the alternate black, so I'll do black and white checkerboard, and then I will probably do the sun and the moon with hobby paints, and I'll do that downstairs on my hobby bench. But what I'm going to do is paint all these squares white, and then when I've done that, I'll mask it, paint black. I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. I'll probably show you what it looks like when I get to the masking stage. Alright, so I've done all the white, and I've painted the inside walls white. Whether I leave it like that or not, I don't know, but I've painted the inside walls white. And what I'm now doing is masking off to start painting the black. So I wasn't totally sure how I was going to do this. It's going to take a little bit of masking to complete. But what I've decided is I'm going to mask basically so I don't have to like keep moving it. I'm going to be able to do every other one. So I'll mask down this one, and I won't be able to do these 3 squares obviously, and I'll mask across there as well, and then across there, and I'll paint what I can, and you'll see what I mean when I finish doing this. So I did that wrong, 1 second, need a longer bit. Yeah, so I'll mask off like this, and then when I've done this, these squares, I will then mask over the ones I've just painted black as well, and I'll be able to do the alternate squares, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. It's funny when you try to verbalise something which makes absolute sense in your head, and then it doesn't really come out right. Anyway, so I'll get this masked, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done, and then I'm going to start painting the squares black. This is what I was trying to explain badly. So I'll be able to paint these ones with the black, and then when that's dry, I'll mask down here, down here, down here, and I'll be able to paint these ones with the black. So I'm going to get that done now, and I'll let you see what it looks like when it's done. I'm also going to very carefully paint these. I don't need to mask these off. I should be able to do that neatly enough. But yeah, so I'm going to paint these with the black, and I'll show you what it looks like when I've done. Well, that started out with a disaster. Look, I had too much wet. My brush was wet. I started using this one, which I just washed previously from the white, and the paint was so wet it went straight underneath the masking, and it went onto the white. So I'm going to have to touch that white up. But I think after that, as you can see, the first couple, I think after that, yep, look, it's worked okay. So there will be a little bit of white touch up to do, but for the most part, that's turned out perfectly. So what I'm going to do now is just paint these little blocks up here, down here, like I say, wait for that to dry, and then when that's dried, what I'll do is I will mask across again, and I will touch up this bit, wait for that to dry, and then mask off again. So anywhere where there's bleed, as you can see, just these first few was where I made the mistake. So the tip is really press your masking tape down very hard, that's one thing, and two, don't wet your brush because it will cause the paint to wick into the wood. Even though I sealed it, just one coat of PVA wasn't enough, and then it went in, lifted the masking tape, and yeah, caused that damage. But anyway, other than that, everything else, if you ignore that bit, looks great, doesn't it? So let that dry, finish it off, I'll show what it looks like when it's done. Well, I've got these all primed up and let them dry for 24 hours. So I'm going to take them downstairs now and give them a paint, and I'll drop you in and out on this one, show you what colours I'm using, but basically I'm going to be trying to mimic the colours for the dismounts for each of the mounted models so I can easily tell who is who. Well, easily, I've also written it on the bottom. John Wesley Harden, if I get that in shot properly, you can see, just wrote it on the bottom, put a sticker on. So yeah, I'll get these, go and get these painted and then show you what they look like when they're done. And as I say, maybe bring along a little bit as well. I've just had a really enjoyable evening again, getting much closer on Boris. So we've got some lime green in there, we've got some uniform green. The eyes of the bunnies are fire orange, if it will focus. That's one of my favourite colours in the Vallejo range. Come on. Don't want to focus, we'll focus on that one, there we are. Fire orange. And yeah, I'm just ready for washes really, I think. I do remember now why I've got to do his eyes as well, to them tomorrow. I do remember why I normally paint the flesh first. So I painted the flesh last, and that was a bit of a pain. But I'm pretty pleased with how this is looking. It's come out nicely. It's another stunning model. Really, really fun to paint. And yeah, pretty much nearly done and ready for basing. And it's only Monday. So yeah, though I did start this last week, obviously. So yeah, might start another model soon. But yeah, enjoying this a lot. Medium grey for the hooves and his horns, and yeah, having a lot of fun. Painting this. So I'll get some washes on tomorrow, and then we'll get to basing. Right, I said I'm not going to do very much about the assembly, and I'm not, but this is something which I think is going to be helpful for people if you're going to buy this kit and put it together. I've just spent a fair bit of time trying to work out which piece goes on the stairs, because the instructions are a little bit cryptic. And what it is it's actually these ones here, okay, and then these pieces here. It doesn't actually show the step, doesn't actually, just kind of shows it constructed like this very, very badly in its picture. But what you do is we're going to glue that onto there, and then these slot in here, and that's how that works. So yeah, I just thought I'd show that. It's taken me 2 or 3 minutes to work it out, and it's not 100% obvious how that it should go like that. So yeah, hopefully that helps. So what I'm on with now is I've painted the bricks last night. And then right now, just using the pencil to line in the edges of the bricks so they're visible again. Really simple technique, but it works really well. These are the side stairs, as you can see. I've made use of clamps when I was assembling it, so that's another little tip for assembly. And what I'm now going to do is paint this and other wooden elements, like I like the panels on the doors, so the ones that I'm not going to replace later, and also going to paint the inside of that probably with the Winsor & Newton roll rumble, which I really like as that. So I will do that, paint all the other wood bits that I'm going to do now, just get that all painted over, and yeah, and we'll see what we're up to after that. Last couple of days I've had a lot of fun painting these two up. This is Brorgir and, can't remember the name of the other one, the Easterling heroes here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to base them using Arid Grasslands Base Ready, just using my fast drying basing glue, and as always a toothpick to spread it around. So I'll do one of them, and then the other one I'll do off camera because I do this any number of times. So we first of all find that, as is traditional, there's a little bit of a blockage over the end of this. It's very sticky glue, this, that actually retains its stickiness after it's dry, which means that it keeps a really good grab of your basing material, but also makes it very sticky to peel off, as you can see. Stuck, oh, we can't see, I've not a shot, stuck to my thumb, not very nice, like a booger. Ugh. So now that I've opened that up, what we'll do is just put a little bit of glue in, like this, and then I take a toothpick and I push it around, and that means I don't ruin a paintbrush, because you can really easily ruin a paintbrush with this stuff, so you don't want to do that. So we'll just do half the base first, get the basing material, and then what I do is I literally slam it in, give it a shake, and there we are. And what I'll do is, once that's set and dried, I will come in and put some watered down PVA over to seal it. So I'll do both of those bases, basically seal them, and then paint the rims, and then these will be done. 2 more for my target for the year, and also for my little fun challenge that I've started up last week. So there we are. Great stuff. I really should hasten to add, actually, at this stage, that what I'm doing on this kit is not something you necessarily need to do. You could basically get away with what I'm doing here with some paint on the wood areas and some paint on the in-between areas. However, I'm going a little bit extra on this one. So what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be spending some time with this thin balsa wood, and it's very thin balsa wood, and I'm going to cut out the shapes roughly of the wooden bits, glue it on so it's got a bit of a 3D texture, and then I'll be doing my normal texture between. Once that, I'm going to do this before I glue it together, I think, and I'll do the texture that I use grout mix for around the edge as well after it's been assembled, because that will then help me to hide these gaps. So yeah, basically I'm going to be attempting to carve. So I'm going to measure that height, cut across, make it a bit wobbly, stick it in place, and then come along and basically do the same for all of these bits and for all of these. There's lots of it to do. It's going to take me a while, but that will look amazing, even to the extent of doing these little bits here. Now I think there's something that I need to stick on over the top of these, which I might do as well as part of this step. So I'll just be double checking before I work on these side bits, because I think there are surrounds that go around that circle and these half moons. And I'm not even sure whether there might not be that go around these, but I don't think so. But by the end of this, what we'll have is we'll have all of the surrounds on, and I will have improved this by putting some wood over. So yeah, it's going to look really nice when it's done. So I've just dry fitted the floors together just to check them out, and I'm glad I did, because what I've found is that inside on the top floor I'm going to need to do some more squares, as there's some gaps where the walls don't go, so I'm going to have to paint those up. So that was an interesting thing to find. As I said, they're just dry fitted at the moment, there's no glue. I've also painted up the shutters. Now one thing I'm a little bit disappointed about this kit, I must admit, is the way this is going to look inside. So I'm putting a lot of effort into making this look nice, and then the way that the shutters are going to go on, just pull that out, you just kind of glue it on behind like that. And then that means that you've got this big lump of whatever inside, which isn't very sightly and doesn't really look very nice. So I'm not sure whether I'm going to be able to cut them out maybe and slot them in, or whether that will just end up being a complete nightmare and not very possible at all, or whether I might just not put them in at all. I don't know, I'm not sure. But yeah, I think that's a little bit of a disappointing way of doing it, that you have this big slab on the back when you're putting your shutters in, particularly because shutters are normally on the outside. Anyway, it's a small thing. Everything else is wonderful. I'm really enjoying it. I need to get in and paint the moon and sun, but I think I might leave that until I've got everything ready for that sort of thing. So if we have a look on the second floor, we've got some motif here as well, and there are plenty more of those sorts of things left in the sprue, which I've not even got to. As you can see, moons, and there's one. So I might leave that and do that all at once. So I might just keep assembling and keep working on this. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove the walls and put in the extra half squares here and along the sides of there, and then I will get stuck into doing the the balsa wood, like I said I was in the previous clip. The reason I stopped is I wanted to see what it looked like with the corners. I wanted to have a quick look at how it assembled, but it's going to be okay. So yeah, so I'll get those two things done. I might show you a little bit of how I do the balsa, I'm not sure, but yeah, really enjoying this. It's a really good little kit, and it's nice to put a massive amount of effort into something and make it look beautiful. I don't know if this is me being blind, but I can't for the life of me see anywhere in the instructions where it explains to you what to do on these bits. And I have realised that I should have done this earlier, as now I'm going to have to paint again because they're going to be visible through on the floor. But anyway, so what you're going to do, and they are different, there are two different shapes for each corner. You're going to find these little bits of the sprue, cut them out, and then they actually kind of dovetail together quite nicely. Oh, sorry, get that in the right place. I've got my monitor backwards, that's confusing. So they dovetail together like that, and that then is how this floor will be kept sat on top of the walls below. So there's going to be 4 of those, and that will then that will then be secure. As I said, I've just looked for all of the instructions, can't see anywhere where it explains that, so I thought I'd quickly just show you that in case you're going to build this as well and then get confused like I did. And the next step for making this awesome, pimping it out, is I'm going to varnish the floors. So I still going to be painting this next, the motif, but I'm going to varnish both. I'm going to paint that and then varnish everything. I'm going to do gloss varnish so it looks like tiles, and I'm going to do a gloss varnish over this as well once I've finished painting the motif. So that's cool. I've made a good start actually on the balsa wood, so as you can see here, and I've also made a start on adding in both the balsa wood on this one and the supplied wood. Now that is making me wonder whether I shouldn't be using some thicker wood rather than that thin balsa wood, so I might actually end up peeling that off and using some thicker. I've got some thicker boards of balsa wood, but also I don't have very much of it, so I don't know, I'm kind of umming and ahhing about that at the moment, but yeah, pretty much really happy with how this is going. I've lined around the outside of all of the windows with blue as well now, just to have that as a kind of a nice motif, and the little kind of like lanterns or whatever, painted them yellow. I've got a brighter yellow to put on, and then I'm going to actually probably put some fluorescent paint on there as well. But yeah, slowly but surely getting there, really enjoying this. It's just nice to really stretch myself, though this has taken probably two times as long as it would normally do for me to do something like this, but I think it's probably going to be 5 times as good, so probably a good investment, in time. Oh, I finished these two. They were really fun to paint and quite easy, so that's really cool. I've just painted the rims, and that's the last thing to do obviously, so I've done that in a nice burnt red. So yeah, excellent. 2 more models to go onto the shelf and potentially be taken to Articon next year, depending on what army I take. But yeah, pretty happy with how they look, and really impressed with how easily they painted up. So what we have here is Boris, finished painting up. Really enjoyed painting him. Just done the washes this evening and he's ready to be based. Pretty happy with how that came out. We used just a basic flesh tone on the skin because he's very pallid in the art, and a bit of a wash, as I say, and yeah, he's ready. So what I'm going to do now, and I also realised that I actually never finished off the Bumbleton farm because I forgot to base up the fence section. So I'm going to do all those now. I'm not going to do it on camera because I do it so many times. It's really annoying doing it on camera. I'm going to make use of the arid grassland base ready, and then once that's done and sealed, I will come in and show you how I do the tufts. I'm going to put some tufts on, obviously. But yeah, nearly done these. Really enjoyed it. Now I've got to pick which miniature I'm going to do next for Moonstone. Alright, so I sprayed these for varnish and it's worked okay, but what I've done is I've found my old yacht varnish, and when I say old I mean old, and I had to use a nearly done in knife to pierce the skin so that I could get to the varnish that's inside. Now there's plenty of usable varnish in there, it's just skinned over. So what I might do is keep that knife with this pot, and then whenever I need to open it I can just pierce the top of the pot to pierce the skin, sorry, and everything will be okay, because yeah, I hate waste. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this very glossy yacht varnish now. Now it is alcohol based, so it is a bit stinky, and you don't want to use well, you either want to get some white spirit or something that you can use to clean your brush, or just use a brush that you don't care. I use a brush I don't care. And I'm going to put that on over the top of all of the tiles, because I really want them to be gloss. I don't want them to be matte at all. So yeah, so I'm going to get this done, and then as you can see I'm pretty close to starting to assemble. I'm umming and ahhing about how I'm going to go about the order of assembly, but I'll come on to that in the next clip. For now, I'm going to get this done, and then I will bring you back when I get to the next step. But for now I'm just going to put the gloss over all of this, all of the tiles. Alright then, let's get Boris and his bunnies based. Oh, I already put the glue on. So what I've done is I've pulled out some of these Serious Play really colourful tufts, and that's what I'm going to use. I was looking briefly at purple ones, but I think I want a lot of colour, some big bold colours on these miniatures, just to kind of make them pop. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to put blue on each base. Have a look and see how that looks, and then if I decide to put another colour on, I can. So I always use a tweezers, and I always add extra glue just to make sure that it sticks properly, because the self-adhesive is good, but I've found it not to be all that strong over time. So there we are. Might put some smaller tufts on as well as these, I think, but they are really making it pop. Right, I'll get this finished and I'll bring you back to show you what it looks like when I've completed all of the tufting. Well, I've just opened this and had a look at it, and it looks relatively simple to put together, which is good. So what you've got is you've got your little slopey section, and you've got a section which will glue in under there, and that's how they all work. However, you've only got two side pieces, and the other side you're going to use these little kind of supports which will slot in there just to make it not fall over. But that means you're probably going to need some card down there if you don't want to have an open underneath of the platform. And the other thing that it's got is it has an end piece which you can stick on if you want to have maybe as a terminus or something like that, then that will stick on there. So that's pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue these together. I'm going to make this one pack up using my Tamara Extra Thin, because I think that's going to be the best thing to use. And what you're going to do, if you have a look when you're assembling this, underneath you've got one stripe there, and you've got these kind of like indentations here. Your retaining wall, your front wall, is going to go and butt up against there. Now there's no instructions, but it's pretty obvious what you do, so I wouldn't worry about it. The only other thing that I've not mentioned yet are these bits here, and these are how you would join the sections together. So basically they will hook over the end and join two lengths of the platform as one. So I'm going to get that done, and once I've done a bit of gluing, I'll bring you back, tell you how good it is or how bad it is, and show you what it looks like. Well, that took me literally a couple of minutes. I've got the first one done completely. I'm just going to do a short clip now just to point out a couple of things I've found. First of all, is some kind of loose sprue on the uprights. Most of these are actually okay. There's one there that's pretty bad that you're going to need to, see if I can get that to focus. That you're going to need to trim off, so just pay attention to that. The other thing is I was just getting started on doing the slope down, and if you get the if you have a look at this, what you can see is you're actually going to need to bend the bend it into place somewhat. This is a bit hard for me to do. There we are. So it actually, when this is flush, that there is a little bit separated, so I'm actually going to have to bend it down when I do the gluing, but that's not going to be too difficult for me to do, and just something else I've spotted. Other than that, really simple kit, but seems effective. I'm going to finish doing the legs on this one, get the end done. I'm probably going to then check it out on the layout, and I'll bring you along when I get to that, and I'm going to work out how this is going to be situated and how I'm going to mount the actual building, because yeah, the building needs to be on the same level as the platform, and obviously I hadn't thought of that, had I? It's time to smash down that mountain of opportunity a little bit further. So here is the Blood and Plunder French nationality starter set, which I'm going to paint up. So you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boxes, each with 4 miniatures in, and then one of these has an extra one, which is the leader, the captain, or whatever. So I'm going to wash these in boiling hot water, scrub them very hard with a toothbrush and soap, and dry them out, and clean up all the miniatures and prime them. I'm not going to film any of that because I've done it loads of times, but I always wash every single one of my miniatures, because sometimes the release agent that they use to get the model out of the to prevent the model from actually sticking to the mold can then also prevent any paint or anything sticking to the miniature, and when that happens, it's the most frustrating thing in the world. Sometimes it happens even if you have washed them, because you don't wash them well enough. So really top tip that. So yes, I'll get these primed up, and looking at them, I think they're going to be a lot of fun to paint. That grey and red, I really like that colour scheme, and I do almost always follow the colour scheme that goes on the goes with the art. So I'll be doing that. Anyway, yeah. Let's see how quickly I can get these done. It'll be really awesome to get this 25 miniatures. Let's see if I can get these whacked out quickly, and then I can move on to another one. I'd really like to knock my backlog, my mountain of opportunity, down before Christmas. That's my aim. And I've just been sat for the last 40 minutes. Can't believe it's been that long, cutting out all of these little posters which are going to go on the outside of Rogan's bar. And I'm just at the last couple, and I thought, you know what, I really should flick the camera on to record that and show how I'm doing it. So I've got my smallest safety ruler, and as I always say, a safety ruler is one of the most important things you can buy, because when you're doing something this detailed and this close, a normal ruler won't hold the thing you're cutting, which is one thing, and also the knife could easily slip and slice you, which you don't want. So yeah, just using my normal hobby knife and my safety ruler, and I've got all of these cut out now, and this is going to be the last one. And then I'm going to work out how I'm going to glue it on. Ideally, you don't use PVA for this, because it causes it to curl, it doesn't grab. What I probably will do is see if there's some Pritt stick, you know, like the glue stick that you have for your kids. I'm sure we've got some. And then once I've put everything on, then I will put a layer of varnish, matte varnish, over the whole thing. But we shall see. At the moment, I'm just happy that I've decided to get this last bit finished. This is the last thing for this build, is to get these done. So yeah, I will get these posters all cut out, and then when I get to doing the gluing, I'll bring you back again, and that will wrap this entire project up. And that was the last one. There we are. It has been a very long time since I've looked at this. A very long time. And now I'm going to get it finished. Yay. So where I got to, as you can see, I've stacked the tower, and where I'd left this at was I needed to finish assembling this part of the tower. So just this evening, this won't take me very long to do, just this evening I'm going to put some glue on the ends of these, and then stick this together like so. Next thing I'll be doing is the corner pieces and the gargoyles, and looking at these at the trapdoor, that's the word, at the trapdoor. So I'll clip that out, and then what we'll do is we'll start to paint it, because that basically is where we're at. So yes, I'm pretty pleased to be back to this. In all seriousness, it's cool to try and get this finished, and I think I'll end up with quite a few spare bits from the looks of it, which is interesting. So I'm going to have to go through it again. As I say, must be a year, 18 months since we even looked at this, but I'd really like to get it finished. So we'll leave that to set overnight, and then in the morning we'll come back and have a look at doing these pieces and the gargoyles, which are pretty awesome. Alright, so the next step is to trim down these edges. As I say, I've done them a bit uneven, and I'm really annoyed at myself for that, to be honest. I did get out my hobby jigsaw, but it's just not going to work. Unfortunately, my Dremel, I've only got these grinding discs, so I've got my eye protection on, because you really need to have eye protection when you do this, and I'm going to try and grind this down. I've also ordered some wood cutting discs, which I really should have had many years ago for my Dremel, so they'll be coming in the next week or so, but I've got no time to wait, because I've only got 4 days until this is due. So I'm not going to film this because it's going to be very noisy and very loud, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to trim these edges off all the way along here, then touch up anything that needs to be touched up in terms of paint, and then we can get on to working on the base. Well, that is much better. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's much better. So yeah, it's really awkward to do this, really awkward, because I'm actually burning my way through the wood. If you have a look at the offcuts, you can see how that is. So yeah, I really do need the wood disc to be delivered, but yeah, pretty happy enough with that. It's better than it was. It'll have to do. So I'm gonna have to get on now and do all the rest of them, which is going to take me a while. I think this is proof that I've got too many tools, because I'd forgotten I had this. Well, I hadn't forgotten, I just didn't think about using it. This is the Proxxon circular saw, hobby circular saw, and I've just managed to trim this down, as you can see, nice and flush. There'll be a little bit of touch up in the paint, but that's fine. And yeah, I mean, it's awesome, it's easy to use, it's working really well. I've had to take the blade guard off, because the blade guard meant that it was knocking on the actual hedge section, and this little kind of the rail that the blade guard hangs off of also gets in the way, so it's a little bit annoying in that way. But let's just quickly show you how easy this is. And there we have it. So yeah, I'll make use of that now to trim down all these. I will paint that up, that'll be fine. It's on the end anyway, so it's not the worst thing in the world. And yeah, I'll paint those black and put that brown, and then that now butts up very nicely when I put it against the other hedges. That's much better indeed. Right, onwards. Very pleased that I remembered about this. That is the right tool. I have ordered the circular attachment, the wood cutting attachment for the Dremel, because I need it anyway, because that is useful also. But yeah, need to remember about all the tools I own. Well, with that done, and yeah, remembering I had that mini circular saw, table saw really was a good idea. What I'm going to do is the next step, which is putting the sifted sand and gluing it down to the bases, which is my standard method of basing. So we just take my hobby glue, try not to get it up too high on the side there, and then scatter sand on, shake it off, knock it down where you don't want it, and that's it. So simple as that. So I'm going to do that on all of them, and once it's dry, then we'll put some more glue on to seal it, and then we'll look at painting it. So I'll bring you back when I've finished doing all this and I'm ready to seal and paint.
So.
I know. So Rosie just demanded to help me out. So she's here, she's in charge of sand. Don't hold it out over the edge of the bucket, because if you drop it like you did here, look, and you put it all in the lid because of that. So that's fine, we can clean it, but just be careful. That's why I said to hold it over the bucket. So I'm doing glue, and what are you in charge of?
Sand.
Sand. So we've got a good little, we've done quite a few, and I just thought, you know what, this is cool, let's get a little bit of video. So Rosie does the sand. And do you remember doing this? We've done lots of this, haven't you? There we are, that's it. And we're going to get it all done together, which is much better than me doing it all on my own. So, what do you say?
I just didn't want you to do it all along.
You're very nice, it's lovely. What do you say to the camera?
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So I've realised that the gargoyles are actually optional, so you could either do what they call the corners or the gargoyles, and I'd rather have the gargoyles. So I've taken the corners off. It was mostly easy apart from one of them. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to see whether I can attach these gargoyles, excuse me, bit of a frog in my throat, these gargoyles using the plastic glue, because the super glue wasn't really wanting to grab. So we're going to sit a gargoyle on each corner, like so, and then the water chute goes at the bottom, like so. So I'm going to do one, see how well it works, and then it'll be a case of waiting for this to all set really nicely, and then we'll be looking to prime and paint. Now I'm going to prime it brown. I'm going to spray paint it all brown, and then dry brush with lots of other different colours to make it interesting. But I'm going to have to stand here and hold this for a minute, so I will I'll be back shortly when it's all done to show what it looks like. But I think that looks really cool. Well, I've got these all primed up and ready for painting, and what I'm going to do, I've just edited up a very old video of some Blood and Plunder miniatures I painted where I did it all on camera. And so I'm going to do at least the Millicide de Caribe, or how do you pronounce that, all on camera. So I've got my monitor, which I've not used for a very long time, and I've found the battery and it works. And what I'm going to do, it won't come on the vlog, but it will be a separate video showing exactly how I paint these up with every single colour and every single step detailed. Because I really enjoyed editing it, and I really like those sorts of videos, so I think I want to bring them back to the channel and do them quite a lot more. So I'm going to at least do, as I say, the Millicide, and then if I feel like it, then I will do the rest as well. But yeah, it wasn't too bad of a clean-up job, and the priming went pretty well. A few spots I can see I've missed, but that's only me missing them. It's not the fact that it's actually falling off, so I'm not going to bother touching those up. I'm going to take them down now and give them a go and see how it works. I'm really looking forward to this. Right, so this has now been sealed. I put some more glue on it last night, and myself and Rosie are now going to put a little bit of brown on all of the sand, and then I'll be getting the flock done. Hopefully with Rosie's help as well. We're going to do all of them. Now the only thing that we're not going to do, and let me just make this very clear, Rosie, can you see where you've got the path here? Yes. We're not going to put any paint between this line and this line in here, okay? So when we're painting, we only paint in front of here, and we don't put any glue in here, okay? The reason for that is that's the path, and I'm going to do something different with that.
Paint, not glue.
We're going to put glue on it, not paint. So we're just going to paint here and here, but not in the middle, okay? Yeah. Right, so we're going to turn the camera off because I didn't sleep all that well last night and I'm tired. But Rosie's going to help me, aren't you? Yeah, are you going to say bye-bye to the camera?
Bye.
We'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Right, so we have done all of that. Rosie did half and I did half, and they look great. So we're going to let them dry. We've got an exciting day planned, got a bit of an adventure planned, and then later on we'll come back and we'll have a look at doing the flocking. After doing that painting, that's now dry. What I'm going to do is going to start flocking. So I've got the light green, which is actually called grass, and I'm going to put that on, and then I've got the very last remains of my dark homemade flock, which I really need to make very soon, make some more. Sorry, I'm not really filming that very well. There, that's better, it's in shot. So what I'll do, a little bit of paint, scatter some of the light flock on, and then just to give a little bit of a highlight, a little bit of the darker flock, shake that off, and then when that's dried, if I can get you so you can see it yet, when that's dried, I will seal it. Got a bit of a difficult lighting situation here at the moment, so yeah, sorry about that. So I'll get that all done, and I'll get a better video of it when it's finished, when the lighting situation is improved, because the light is streaming in through a window, which is right there. Angela was an absolute diamond for me the other day. So my very favourite paint for painting roof tiles dried up completely, and I couldn't find it. I've been looking for it for ages, and she's managed to find it. So there we are, we've got it. Yeah, so what I can do now is, as you can see, I've done a little bit of blue on there. That is actually the shades that go over the windows downstairs. And what I can do now is just very carefully paint over these. Now I will need to touch up where the tabs are when it's on the roof, but painting it like this will be easier, I think. And when this dries, it's a fantastic colour for tiles, and if I'm not happy, if it looks like it's going to be covering up the actual tile, the tile lines, so the drawing of the lines, I'll cover it again with a pencil, but I'll let it dry first, because sometimes as it dries they come back. But I'm just going to be a little bit careful of that. If you want to avoid that, some spray paints do avoid actually doing that, but it's pretty hard to avoid because this is just laser cut cardboard, and so it's actually not all that deep where those lines are. So yeah, anyway, I'll get that done, and I'll show what it looks like when it's finished. I'm nearly done on this actually. I've not actually done any assembly really, which is quite unusual for me at this stage. Normally I do all these things with it fully assembled, but this time I'm doing it like this, seeing how it works. So I should start with the assembly soon, I hope. Anyway, enough rambling. I'll get these painted and bring it back shortly. Well, that flock is dried on enough now that what I'm going to do is I'm going to come along and seal this layer of flock with the watered down PVA again, and then I'm going to make use of these coloured flocks, pink, blue, purple and yellow, just to add a little bit of colour. And I might even think about doing some on top of here, but I'm not going to do it in this state. I want to have a think about that, to think whether do I think that the high hay would? Not sure. So yeah, so we're just going to basically, as we base this, what we're going to do is I'm going to put PVA over the entirety of this, because that will seal all of the flock that I added. And then once I've put PVA over the entirety, what I'll do is I will pick a colour or three. So for example this nice rich yellow, and just put a little patch in there like that, which will add a little bit of colour there. And then maybe some pink. It might be the high hay, but it's still the Shire, and there's still going to be little bits of flowers. So I'm just going to do that kind of thing. I will also eventually, once I've this is done, I'll put some tufts on as well to get some height. But my idea is just to kind of add a little bit of interest to make it look a little bit prettier. So I'm going to do that now. I'll not have the camera running because it's just going to be like that, and I'll then, once that's dry again, I will then do another coating of PVA over the whole thing to seal this layer in, and then it'll be a case of deciding which tufts to do, and I will bring you along when I get to the tufting stage. Well, we're getting towards the assembly time, like I said in the previous clip, and just one other thing to show. I painted these, and they've come out nicely, but they bowed up badly, so I stuck paint on the back and they're flattened out. Really nice when that works. Doesn't always. Anyway, so what we've got to do now, and I'm getting a bit fed up with this, I kind of want it to get done, but I want to do it right, so I'm not going to rush. But what I need to do now is I've stuck these, the supplied wooden beams on the outside here, and I actually accidentally stuck two onto these ones as well by mistake, which is wrong. So I've cut them off now, which wasn't actually too hard to do, thankfully. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my balsa wood running from here and overlapping quite a long way, so that when I glue this in place, I'm then able to run some glue down here, stick my balsa wood one on, and then I'll be able to cut it down flush, and it will look much neater. Now if that doesn't make sense, then when it's done you'll see what I mean, but I need to do that on both sides. So we're going to have balsa wood here going out a good, like probably 10 mil past the hard edge to make sure I've got enough, and I'm going to do that on both sides of this one, and this one now will fall apart probably on both sides of this one, and then it will yeah, and then we'll be able to start assembling. I don't think there's anything else left to do on this that's preventing me assembling. No, there isn't. That's really cool. So yeah, so I'll get that done, get them glued in place, and then we'll get to assemble this, and then I'll go back and look at the second floor and see if there's anything there that's left to be, that needs to be done in terms of the balsa wood, and then I'll assemble that also. So we're really getting there. The other thing is I've assembled and put together the last piece, which is this little kind of scatter terrain. Use the same techniques, use my fire orange, my moon yellow and my deep yellow for that painting, just the blue and the white house paint on this side piece here, and then again the kind of beigey paint, and I've lined it with a pencil. So that's worked out nicely, so that's pretty much done. Alright, let's get my balsa wood out, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's assembled. Probably that's probably the next time I'll film, because I'll just get this balsa on, slap it together, and then I can trim it. Oh, and my varnish has turned out perfectly. It was very yellow for a while, but I left it for what, 3 or 4 days now, and it's not yellow at all, which is quite a relief, because I thought I'd destroyed it. I'm really pleased with how these are looking. However, the particularly the rabbits are just disappearing into the base. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some grass on and add some green. So I've got my treva colour, which means grass in Bulgarian, and I'm just going to basically, I keep making that pun by mistake, I'm going to come in with some watered down PVA. I'm not going to cover over the stones, but I'm going to pick out around the creature, around the rabbit. There we are. And then quick dip, shake it off, tap it off, and now the rabbit really pops. So I'll do it on all of them, and then seal it tomorrow, and then I'll paint the bases, the rims. Going to paint the rims probably beige or something like that, or maybe bright green, I'm not sure, I haven't decided. I'll bring it back, and that'll be the next time you see these, they will be completely done. Well, there we are, that's dried, but I'm not convinced. I'm wondering if it's just a little bit too colourful. I mean, it is very colourful, it looks awesome if that was the effect I was going for. But is that a bit too much for the high hay? Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to look at it for a little bit. I don't have all that long to look at it because I need to complete this. What is it today? 29th. I've got 2 days until the deadline. So I'm probably going to look at it today, let it settle, and I might just put a bit more green over the top of it. I might put some shrubs or some bit more kind of like larger items on there just to green it back again. I should have just picked one colour and put it in 2 places and done, and that would have been a better effect, I think. Oh, yeah. Oh well, never mind. Well, live and learn, and yeah, you just no matter how much you do this hobby, you still live and learn. So I will, as I said, I'll think about it. Maybe in the vlog when you're watching this, or any video, if you even in the actual summary video, let me know what you think you should do. You would do. I'll be really appreciate that. Yeah, we shall see. I'm still pleased with it. Just think I've gone a bit too colourful. Well, there we are. It was the week it was. And it was a really good week. There was a lot more hobby in than was captured because I spent a lot of time on that high hay project. The hedge basically took a lot of time this week, just getting everything up to a standard so that everything was at the same place. And then I was able to do a little bit of work on it. And the joy of having Rosie join in demand, actually, she was like, "Daddy, I want to help you." It was brilliant, really fun. And that Renedra stone tower as well, that has been in the cupboard. I found it by accident. I thought, oh, I'll finish that. That didn't even make my video that I did a few weeks back saying how many projects did I have live. That was one I'd forgotten about. So there we are, but it's good to be getting it nearly finished, and I should get that done next week, which will be another one out of the way. So let me know what you think in the comments below. If you have already commented, really appreciate it. If you don't want to comment, thank you very much for watching. Thank you everyone who's made it this far. I really do appreciate that as well. I'll wrap up by saying, as I always do in my vlogs, if any of you are impacted by this horrific war, the two wars that are going on in Ukraine and in Israel horrifically, my thoughts do go out to you and anyone you know who may be impacted by those horrible events. And to everyone, please do stay healthy, stay safe and stay well.